Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, and today I'm here once again to talk about Big Brother 23. We're going to talk about everything post-nomination ceremony because it actually happened a couple of hours ago. We're going to talk about the last elimination. We're going to talk about everything that's been transpiring inside the house. With me today, as usual, is my co-host, Sarah Yell. And Sarah, how are you doing this fine evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. Also, after the Big Brother fight we had today, a little off topic, but on topic, I want to fight someone now. Like Cheyenne, she's from Canada, right? Should we have a little silent podcast boxing match?
I will say it was a little
Or Chanel.
I mean, it was a Chanel. I never touch a Chanel. It was interesting to see people like Nick and Josh get beat up. It was therapeutic. But also here, one of my good friends, podcaster with a bunch of times, she talks about a bunch of other shows over here. Geneva is here to join us. Geneva, how are you feeling about the season? How are you feeling tonight? Just how are you feeling in general?
I'm good. I'm loving this season. It is great. And especially today, the feeds have been a chaotic mess with these nominations. So I am loving it. I cannot wait till Monday, especially because that's when I think everything's going to blow up. So I'm very content so far.
Awesome. All right, so I guess we can just jump in here. I mean, we didn't get to a podcast on Monday, so I mean, there's not much to talk about. A lot of the things structure-wise in the house, really, we're just circling around what's going to happen in future rounds. Specifically with players like Tiffany and Kylan and Xavier. And there's other players that we can get into in a few minutes. But this was like a big setup week for players like Tiffany and Kylan, who are basically just trying to figure out, all right, where are we going from here? What's our boot order? Who are we going to take around? A lot of shocking things with Tiffany. I still think she's playing a really dominant game, but something that she's been exposing is like, all right, like, she's diehard Cookout. She wants to take Hannah to the final two, but Claire isn't going to be here for that long in her plans. I think she's going to feel a little guilty, taking her too far. She wants Claire to go in like this double eviction area where we're seeing other players who actually are like, a lot of people are thinking about double eviction. Hannah and Azza specifically, they were also talking about like, all right, Claire needs to go here. I know. Claire herself wants to take out Derek Frazier around here. Some people are looking at Christian, but Christian can go here. So it's a mess. But Sarah, how do you think Tiffany's really handling this whole Claire situation so far?
I don't know if I even believe it. Like, have we seen Tiffany actually say that she wants Claire to go early on a one-on-one with the camera? Oh, she has. Okay.
Yeah. She has. She really wants to take Hannah to the final two, but
I know that. But she's been even saying to people that she wants to cut Claire early, like first or second in jury. And like, honestly, I don't believe it. I think she's just trying to appeal to people, being like, oh, I want to keep your people along longer than my person, as if like kind of a little bit of give and take, because I think some people feel like Tiffany is a little bit too aggressive in her game talk sometimes. I think especially people like Oz are like, why does Tiffany get to run the show? Like, why does Tiffany get to be the head honcho? And so I think that's just Tiffany's way of being like, oh, I'm willing to like do things for the team too. I'm willing to cut people, but I don't think she is. I don't think she's willing to cut Claire early, and I don't think she should be willing to. But that's just my 2 cents.
I mean, Tiffany has shown herself to be a very wild thinker. She changes her opinion like that on the spot. So I don't know how long this is going to last. This could just be a very impulsive thing. But interesting to move on to Claire. I think Claire has almost like started to notice this. She's like, I'm not in the best spot that I could be in. Like I at this rate, I'm not going to win the game if I don't change it up. She's starting to notice a lot of people like around the Cookout specifically. She's starting to notice the Cookout's sort of like a thing. I know specifically with the last 2 days, her and DX have been speaking a lot. They're strategizing a lot, and I think that's also because Hannah and Tiffany have been strategizing a lot. So Claire and DX have been talking a lot. She's saying, I'm noticing like Azza and DF are like they're involved in everything, but they don't talk game with people. What's going on there? So Geneva, what does Claire need to do to get back on track here?
I mean, honestly, I feel like her only shot is really to work with people outside the Cookout. realistically, if she really wants to further herself in the game. Like, I know, of course, she has alliances with people in the Cookout, but it seems like the Cookout is just a huge priority for people in the Cookout, which, you know, is great because it makes sense for their game. It's going to get them as far as they need to get. They have the numbers. But that's where the challenge lies for Claire. Claire needs to get power. I think that's going to be crucial, because if Claire doesn't have power, then people are not, you know, people are going to be willing to take a shot at Claire because Claire's not going to be giving them anything. So I think it's very important that she gets power soon so she can try and set herself up and change this game. But I think it's very difficult because I know that the people she wants to work with, you know, are more aligned with other people. So that's kind of the challenge that she's in. But maybe she really needs to foster a relationship with Derek X. And I know she's been talking to him a lot more recently, but I think it's very important, if she really wants to set herself up for the end game, is that she makes sure that she gets power. And honestly, like, I know it's unfortunate, but like, she might have to take a shot at those people if she really wants a serious chance and to open up the game for herself.
Yeah. Do you think the Cookout will actually go to Final Six? Like, do you think they're actually all gung-ho on Final Six, or do you think it was just jury and now that's it?
I think, personally, I think players like Tiffany, DF, and I would say Xavier are like the only real people who are like diehard Cookout. I think Azah and I think Kylan are also diehard, but they're also, and Hannah are also diehard, but they're also willing to go with their options and do what they also need to do to win the game at the end of the day. So, you know, I've noticed this earlier this week, but specifically Tiffany and Xavier, they seem more willing to give up their extra numbers more than like the other members, where you're starting to see players like Kylan who kind of like wants to hold on to Sarah. You're seeing Azah wants to hold on to Brittany, where, you know, Tiffany and is like, all right, like, I know I'm close with Claire, but she has to go at some point. Hannah, I don't know, she's willing to give up DX later. We're gonna have to wait and see. I know Hannah, Tiffany, and Xavier specifically made a Final 3 recently, so we're going to see how far that goes. But, you know, it's really tricky. Even with Xavier, who's like so diehard Cookout, I think like he's also worried about like jury votes and doesn't want the other kings like Sarah Beth and the Showmans to go. But, you know, the Alliance wants them to go, so it's like, you know, he's trying to hold on to them. You know, they want people to go, so it's like it's a lot of maneuvering and people trying to like push their own agendas without getting caught, and it's just getting really complicated. But
X is annoying me. I'm gonna be honest,
really,
like, at this point, because he's really pushing this Kings thing, and the teams are over, but he is just like putting himself, he's just like, well, I want to keep them safe. Which is great. But I feel like if that's your priority, that's going to put a huge target on your back. And it's very clear, obviously, with what we know with nominations, you know, Derek did not necessarily listen to that. But like, that's one thing that he kept pushing. And so as much as I like Xavier, I'm at the point where it's like, this is the individual game, but if you're really trying to save 3 other people because we know at this point he is the person who's part of a team that's the only team that's intact. Like, I think people are gonna start to get a bit weary that he's only about his team and that's his priority. So that could be a little bit dangerous for him. So I think he needs to be a little bit more flexible when he's talking to people about who he wants to keep safe and who his priorities are. Because like, I think even in like conversations that he had with Derek X today, like, I'm just like, you just need to chill. Like, you should be happy that, you know, there was a deal that was made to keep you safe and to keep Alyssa safe. But at this point, like, if you're really trying to advocate for your whole team, you know, people are advocating for 1 or 2 people, and I get you want to keep your numbers and you want to have your numbers in jury, but I think at this point, like, it's going to be hard to do that without potentially getting some future blowback.
Yeah, I would argue though, if a little bit to defend X, he just lost Whitney, and like, I know that Whitney was like probably going to go regardless. But it's just one of those things that Whitney would have been a guaranteed vote for X and jury. And so I think for him, it's like, I just lost Whitney and now I'm going to lose one of my teammates. Like, I think that's a pretty scary thing going into jury where you just lost 2 guaranteed votes for yourself. Because if he has this whole team in jury, what do you need to win? You need 4 votes to win. Is that right? It's like 7 votes, right? So you already have 3 guaranteed votes.
Yeah.
Need 5.
Like, you're basically guaranteed to win in my eyes.
Yeah. Like I wanted to bounce off on that because I was actually going to bring that up. I'm agreeing with Sarah a little bit here, and I see what you mean, Geneva, but at the same time, this is really like a battle for like numbers for dominance for later, right? And I think Tiffany, obviously, with a little help with that twist that Clara got, is like kind of winning this. If you look at every member of the cookout, right? Azah has been forced to lose her number at some point, and Brittany's also expendable to that alliance. DF lost his number. Kylan, who also, I will say today, was fighting for Sarah Beth not to get put on the block, is right now like a target as well, if not a backup target. Like, she's going to go eventually. The only 2 people in Hannah, she's not going to lose Derek X. The only 2 people right now left with numbers, Xavier, Tiffany. And I think Tiffany has a really big grasp on the game, and the reason why she's targeting these people specifically is that they're going to vote Xavier over her, where Tiffany, like, for example, we were seeing her talking about like, oh, we need to keep Christian for a while because Christian's loyal to her, where Alyssa will be loyal to X. So it's like they're both just battling for like who's going to have more people who like them more in the jury. And I think Xavier and Tiffany are both doing the same thing, but Tiffany is just a little bit more successful because she actually put time in with these bonds. And that's why when Xavier does it, it kind of looks like a little bit more like, why are you doing this? Because like Tiffany's low key doing the same exact thing. She's just a lot more successful in my eyes, at least. I don't know. But
yeah, but I think the thing here that I think X needs to think about is Derek X just lost a teammate too in Whitney, and literally the Kings just put up Hannah and Whitney. So like I feel like in some ways, like I get you want to have your team, but I feel like even with the house guests and how they've been responding to nominations, I feel like the Kings are kind of being a little selfish. And I get that, you want to keep your team intact, but you also have to realize like Derek has every right to put up a king, right? Like the fact that the whole Jokers thing has been pushed, which is also what's I think very interesting, is like this team thing is so strong despite the teams being over. People are still advocating for their teams, and it's those allies that that you have and that you trust. But I think that's the thing too, is that is also a factor here. Like DX felt like he really needed to win this HOH to keep Hannah safe because Hannah is not in the Royal Flush, right? But the Royal Flush just targeted his team. So like, it's like Xavier got that agreement that he would stay safe. And that's where I feel like, yes, it's important. You want to have those numbers going into jury, but also I feel like there has to be a bit of a give and take here. Cause I feel like when you're pushing a little too hard, like when we saw with Sarah Beth, like, Sarah Beth is not in the best position now because she pushed too hard and she didn't do the work like Tiffany does the work. And that's the thing. Like you were saying, X kind of is not in necessarily successful in the situation. He didn't put in the work. So it's like not coming off as natural. So I'm just saying, like, I get the idea of wanting to keep your team safe, but I also feel like it's kind of hard to justify, like, after the team just literally sent out one of his teammates, keeping that whole team intact or not even nominating them, even if they're in this supposed like alliance.
Yeah.
Because of how the dynamics of the games have been.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would also argue though that there is an element of saving face because of all the teams, the queens didn't have to argue for each other because clearly he's not going to put up Kylan and Tiffany, and the Jokers, I guess, I think they would have argued to keep all of each other safe if they really knew that was a possibility. So I think Xavier is really the only person that really could vouch for his team in general. And the fact is I I don't know what the fact is, but
so okay. Well, yeah. So what was your argument here?
Sarah doesn't know.
I was just saying, like, saving face. Like, I think it would be weird if he were to not have vouched for his team, because I think all the teams, I know it's over, but I think these are like the initial alliances from the start of the game. I think people are still pretty loyal to their teams to a degree, more than I think everyone is. Like,
and I'm not saying that he shouldn't advocate for his team, but I'm just
wouldn't
saying,
it be weird? Wouldn't it be weird if Kyland hadn't have fought for Sarah Beth not to be on the block? Wouldn't it have been kind of weird if like Hannah was on the block or possibly going on the block and DX wasn't like, oh, don't put up Hannah? Like, I think that's weird not to.
Well,
am I wrong?
I will say this whole conversation is proof of how strategically complex this house structure is. And I still confuse why people call it boring. But anyway, let's move on from that.
I think it's just predictable. I think people think it's
I wouldn't say
that. Predictable.
I would not say that. I think the edits on the casual viewer is making it feel predictable, but they're not showing everything that's going on feeds right now. And the casual audience who sees the edited episodes feel like it's predictable. It's really not. Like, I've been watching the edited episodes, by the way. They are not by any means portraying what the show is actually like, what's really going on. They're showing it by the HOH's perspective and the only perspective. Like, they're not showing anyone else's stuff. There's so much stuff going on. They're just not showing it. I will say I'm not happy with that. The editors need to fix their stuff.
So you're saying Big Brother should be 4 nights a week?
Listen, not even that. Last time, I feel the last time that Big Brother's edit got everything correct was Big Brother 14. Like, ever since then, they always leave stuff out that's actually going on the show, and it's been bothering me. Rewind literally last year, we had an entire day erased from the show because they didn't like the wall yeller. Like, we don't even know what happened. They erased an entire day. Like, there's just something wrong with there. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But
what if the casual people want to see Isaiah? They want to see fights and they want to see humor. And what kind of they had to show us a stupid fight about not saying good morning to someone because that's the only conflict they have.
No, it's not. I'm telling you.
You don't think like direct face-to-face recordable conflict?
They're choosing to show that. There's so much stuff going on, and
what would you show?
Showing all of it. I would show. All right, I would easily show Sarah Beth right now with a lot of her conflicts going on right now. I would show a lot more strategy conversations between Alyssa and Christian that are not being shown. I think the bonds between Brittany and Christian, like them making a final 2, they could have expanded a little bit more on that. I would have loved to see a lot more cookout subjects. I would love to see Kyland's game talk with Sarah Beth because they really downplay that relationship a lot on the show, and I think people are blindsided by that. There's a lot of stuff. Let me
tell you if I'm an editor. Let me tell you if I'm an editor. Why would I give Christian so much content? He's probably going to be going home soon. Why would I give Sarah Beth so much content and a storyline?
They didn't know that. They didn't know that till today. They didn't even start talking about Christian being an option till like 2 days ago. Like, I'm just saying. I'm not. I'm going to tell how it is.
I'm playing. Anyway, I agree.
Go ahead and play it. Anyway, so just to fast forward a little bit because we rambled on for that for a while. So just to move on, we saw Whitney leave. Who cares? We got.
Gosh, her kids probably care. They get mama back.
Does anyone have anything interesting to say about Whitney in this moment?
About Whitney in this moment?
Yes. Speak now, or I'm going to continue.
I mean, she tried in terms of attempting.
Do you think Xavier and her will meet up one-on-one outside of the house?
Maybe. So anyway, so we saw this wall competition. I did want to talk about this for a little bit. One, why do they promoted like the rope swinging thing? It was just a wall comp. I'm very concerned for some people, specifically Sarah Beth, because Sarah Beth decided to throw this. I think she's going to get away very lucky if Christian gets blindsided, but she has no idea she was the initial target going into this week. So it's like, why are you throwing HOHs? I think Claire, who also threw an HOH, I get she's safe, but it's like, if you have a chance to win an HOH, you can't be nominated the next round. Why wouldn't you do that? Like, I think Claire needs the power, but she's passed up on it. And then
people just don't want blood on their hands. They need
to get blood.
They don't want to play the game. They don't want to take risks. They don't want to make the moves and put a target on their back.
This house is really underestimating the power of an HOH. Like, I really think an HOH, specifically with this cast, is the perfect place to just like make bonds. You have literally. I've never expected the HOH room until this season, because the HOH room is such an advantage. Not only the cameras and everything, you literally have a private room that you can lock and talk game with anybody you want. Like, literally, Derek X and Tiffany stayed up for like 2 hours last night with the chessboard, just talking strategy. Nobody can walk in on them. Nobody can listen to them. Like, that is such an advantage. And I think like it's showing, it really just turns people's games around. Like, even Christian, who he's the target this week, granted, but going into that, like, he had no deal. He came out with a couple deals. It's like, I really think people underestimate the power of the HOH, and I really think people need to stop throwing them, because this is a really cutthroat cast and it's really savvy. But anyway, Derek X,
I would also say, especially when it's this early and there's enough people in the house, that it is pretty easy to put people on the block that won't ruffle too many feathers, and so you can get those deals, get those allegiances early, versus later on where you're gonna make people mad.
I need to see a girl win HOH. Like, none of the girls have been winning HOH. So
I think that everyone is throwing it. I think this is the cast. I don't think we've ever had a cast that throws things as much as this one. Am I wrong? Like, Christian and Derek X are the only ones going for everything, and they're winning everything because of it.
They are. And it's
I think one thing to note that is quite surprising, though, is even though the HOHs and POVs have been won practically by men, like most of the men are sending out the men. So that is, I feel like, an interesting situation. But, of course, there's been a lot of discussion recently from some people like, oh, well, sending, if Derek sends Christian out, then he might become a huge target. Also, the men may dwindle down in numbers because they won't be in the majority going to jury. So there's just like a lot, I think, that's going to, I think, come into play as we get into the next phase of the game.
I agree. But to specifically go on, God.
Do you think Christian's HOH, do you think it was successful for him? To backtrack a little?
No, because I think they should have been targeting Hannah, and they didn't. So, they really should have just targeted Hannah. Like, they came in a week saying they should take Hannah out, please the house, and then they left the week saying we should have took Hannah out. And now they're being targeted. So, mistake for me. But I wanted to talk about Derek X a little bit because he won his HOH finally. I think no matter who won his HOH, unless you're like Brittany, you're gonna leave this week with some enemies. That's perfectly fine. Like, it could have been Claire, it could have been Tiffany, it could have been Oz, it could have been anyone win this HOH. Someone's going to leave this week with enemies. That's just natural because this is like a stale point. There's no more fodder. So everyone is just here. Everyone's aligned with someone. He wants to backdoor Christian, but he promised Alyssa that he was not going to target the king. So it gets a little weird there. And then even with that, he put up Brittany, he put up Sarah Beth. He had to promise loyalty to Alyssa that she wouldn't go up, and I don't know if you want to do that. He told Kylan, I don't know if I don't want to put up Sarah Beth. He promises, there's a lot. This house is very crazy right now. So Geneva, what is your opinion on the Derek X HOH reign so far?
Well, I've been enjoying it a lot. I think I've noticed actually Derek X I think there have been times he's slipped up, but he's been trying to be careful with what he's saying. So when he was even talking to Alyssa, for example, he's saying like, I'm keeping to the promise that I made on the wall, that promise being Alyssa and X would be safe, but not necessarily specifying other individuals. Of course, Alyssa was trying to say, no, how about, I want Christian safe, yada, yada, yada. That sort of thing. I thought one thing that was very interesting in their conversation is, Derek X kind of, for those who haven't been watching the feeds today, Derek X has had a series of questions that he's been asking each house guest about, who they see as like a threat. Like if they were HOH, who would they put up? Just like a lot of these sorts of questions to figure out where people's heads were at. And that kind of helped him form his nominations, try to kind of use this as an opportunity to establish trust with people, a variety of different situations. And it was very interesting because Alyssa accidentally slipped up and said, I would have put up Hannah. And she's like, oh, no, that's not what I didn't mean that. I meant this. And it's interesting because we noticed that with a lot of these conversations, shortly after Derek X would talk to somebody, if someone else didn't come in, Derek X would talk to the cameras and he would tell us what he was thinking. Unfortunately, he didn't mention that. So I don't know if he said, oh, I knew that was a joke. But I hope that's in the back of his head, because I feel like that in itself, that slip up is very telling of what her potential intentions would be. But I notice a lot of people have been like, oh yeah, I would keep Hannah safe. All that sort of stuff. We're like, we completely understand why you wanted to protect her. But yeah, so it's been an interesting week, but I'm actually very impressed with Derek because it seems like he was able to essentially convince Brittany, one, that she's not necessarily the target, but convince her oh, I want to work with you, and convince her it's okay for her not to be sad to go on the block. She, I think, started to realize this could actually be a good thing for me. I have a hand in people's evictions and them going out by being on the block constantly. So the fact that he was able to get her to be a part of this whole plan, and he's been starting to feed her information so she knows what is going on, I thought that actually was really great on him. So I think it's been really great to see how he's been interacting with different people in the house. But now he's starting to, I think, make his plan more clear to people. But right before Noms, he was trying to avoid saying too much and saying what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think you have to give Brittany a little bit of credit there, because I think it has been really hard for Brittany going on the block, and I'm sure it still is. But the fact is if it ends up being Brittany and Sarah Beth at the end of the week, I don't think it's clear who the target would be right now. I think it's very possible it could go either way. And so for Brittany, you want to make sure that Derek X thinks he will be good with him next week, so that she won't be the for sure target.
Yeah, and I think it's also very possible she could theoretically be lying about all of this, but based on the way she's responded and how she's communicated with others in the house, it's seeming like she is actually enjoying being part of what this potential plan could be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm Brittany, I would look at the situation and try to use it to the fullest extent. We've seen past players, now they don't have a good win history, but I mean, we've seen some past players usually in this position plays pretty high. And we've seen for example, Johnny Mac, he got 4th or 5th, I forget. Victoria got 3rd. Even Johnny, obviously Johnny. Mm-hmm. Nicole Anthony a little bit, and then even Spencer Clausen, he got final 3. So mm-hmm. They usually get pretty far in the game, but it just matters if you win the right comps at the right time or have the bonds. If you pull a Steve Moses or something and completely mm-hmm. Link somebody, she can completely weaponize this position. It just depends on how she looks at it. If she's going to just cry every week, then it's not going to look good.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would have done differently if I was her, though, is I think you need, if you know there's going to be a backdoor, I think you need to tell Derek X, I'll be a pawn for you, but if you win, you have to take me off. I have to be the person that comes off if you win. I don't think she did that.
And in the perfect
I think she might have mentioned it once, but it's not something that she's been seriously pushing for.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with being the professional pawn is the perfect thing is you can agree if you're not going to go home. It's not suggested, but if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. If you win HOH, you don't owe anyone a damn thing. You can put whoever else you want up. I was a pawn for you. You gotta be a pawn for me. They can't stop you. They put you up. That's the perfect place to be in. Mm-hmm. So hopefully Brittany weaponizes that. But we'll see. But I mean, that's the basic rundown. What's everything that's going on. I mean, we can further dissect everyone during this tier list real quick. We're going to
do a tier list.
Yeah, we haven't updated in so long.
Interesting. So I wanted to talk about someone else, but I'll wait for the tier list.
Yeah, well, we'll do that now. We, Sarah, haven't updated this since last week.
I think it's going to change a lot for me.
Yeah. So here is our rankings of last week. Let me close up for you. But we didn't have anyone in S tier. Let me find Whitney, who was a D tier, is dropping down. But this is what our house structure looking like. So we can start from the top, work our way down. So Sarah, how do we feel about Tiffany? I mean, Tiffany is still in a pretty strong position, but it looks like her plans have shifted a little bit. She doesn't want to take Claire too far, allegedly. She wants to take Hannah to the final two. It seems like her and Kylan have some weird like energy going on, but like she's actively working to get his numbers out. What's your opinion on Tiffany here?
Yeah, I would say Tiffany's still solid. One thing I'd want to say is I think some other people in the cast have been starting to slack on their social relationships, which I think does start to happen around this phase. It's just really hard to keep that fake-ish personality going for this long. But Tiffany, I think, has really managed to keep those strong bonds because there have been some people that have brought her name up like a week ago about like her being a threat for her social relationships. But I think that is gone now. I think too many people feel like they need Tiffany.
Okay.
I think she's had a good week.
Jen? How about you, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tiffany is kind of at the center of a lot of things. So I think right now she's still fairly in a good position. But I've noticed that she's had, a couple little slip ups here and there. Like as she's started to come closer to Hannah, she's told Hannah about things that Hannah didn't know about, her alliances that Hannah was not privy to their names and things like that. So I think she just needs to at least make sure that she's a bit more careful with the information that she shares. I mean, of course, like she thinks she's a great ally. And I think it's important that, like, for example, if the cookout is to survive, it's important that like Hannah is actually included in the cookout, and you don't have people like Azah who are like, well, I thought it was 5 + 1. It's like no, that's not how this works. So I think it's very important that she keeps her alliances straight. Who's in what, because I think that's also the thing. She's in a lot of different groups, and so that can also be challenging to keep straight when you don't really have paper and things that like keep note of certain things. So I think she's good right now, but I think she just also needs to be careful. But overall, I think she, of course, is still in a pretty good position.
All right, I think she's perfect where she's at then.
Yeah, I agree.
So we could talk about X a little bit. So X, as we said, I mean, he's not going anywhere anytime soon, but he did, as Geneva spoke about, push up a little bit for the Kings to stay, which I don't know if that's the right move, but we did also see him solidify final three with Tiffany and Hannah this week. He successfully he didn't really get Whitney, but he helped mesh that whole Whitney pathway as well. So I mean, we're seeing X do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Geneva, how do we feel about X here?
Yeah, I mean, like overall, I think he's still in a pretty good position. I guess I do wonder though, like in general, in terms of like the scope of the game, as we get into the jury phase, especially if these bigger targets are going to be taken out, like Christian or potentially Derek X, like where he would fare within that. But overall, I think he, of course, still has those strong social connections, and yes, it's good. I think he has a lot of solid numbers, and he may very well lose one this week from the Kings, but I think that's also the thing where he needs to focus on who is going to really get him further in the game and who he can fight for, without it looking like too much of an issue, because then it's like then he'll start to be connected with certain people, and that's something he probably wouldn't want, because then he could be targeted for that.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I agree. I think right now he might be viewed as like the third most dominant competition beast, just because he got second in the wall comp. And so if Christian goes and if Derek X ends up going, I think that could put him in a pretty scary spot. I think also the thing I would worry about is I think from a viewer standpoint, I think most people would say Tiffany or X have the best chance of winning the game. And I think when Whitney just left, I think she said the exact same thing, that she could see Tiffany or X winning. And I think that's a scary place to be.
I have a third person I want to put in that conversation, but I'll wait till we get to them. But I think X is perfect where he is. I want to put him in S when he takes a more dominant approach, starts calling shots. I think I can see him doing that later game, and he's probably waiting till a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
But when he takes a more assertive role, I think that's when I'll and more control. I think that's when I'll move him up. But until then, I'm gonna keep him here for now. Kylan and Sarah Beth, I think are both going to take some hits. I personally, It's nothing major. I think I'm going to move Kylan to B. And it's because he isn't really doing bad per se, but it's just that Tiffany is doing better and she's actively working against Kylan. She's the only person in the house actually who's actively working to hurt Kylan's numbers. And she's getting Christian to do it. She's getting Derek X to do it. Like Kylan, honestly, he had a really good grip on Derek X, but he really let that bond go little by little every week, and Tiffany took advantage of that. So, I think Kylan, as good as he is as a player socially, and I think he's still going to be here for a while, and he's more capable winning comps, his numbers are dwindling very quickly because Tiffany is actively going against him. So I do think he should be a B. How do you feel about that, Geneva?
Yeah, I agree. It seems like, especially, Kylan, of course, has his relationship with Sarah Beth. And I think that relationship by association is actually, a little bit damaging to his position in the house. A lot of his rifts with Tiffany recently, that's been becoming some issues. I know that recently on the feeds, Brittany had come to DX about a situation, an interaction they had talking about the veto and how if Brittany should fight for it or not and all this sort of stuff. So there's just, and Derek X seemed very surprised. So I think there's just, I don't know what's really going to happen with Kylan here. But he really needs to work on mending some of those fences, because right now I'm a little concerned for his longevity in the game. Of course, he'll probably, be at jury and whatnot, but I am worried about the strength of his relationships moving forward and even potentially his standing in the cookout.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I think this was a bad week for Kylan. I would arguably even move him all the way down to C, which I think that might be a little bit crazy. But I think a few weeks ago, he was considered in my eyes the most, in the best place in the house. And then all of a sudden he just is completely slacking. I think he's only talking to the people he likes and is not.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's only talking to people he likes, and he's not talking to other people that he should be branching out for, developing those bonds that you should be developing at this crucial point of the game.
Really crap, just closed out. What happened? That was so scary.
I tried to finish your thought, but it was probably not accurate. But I just
Geneva caught the alley-oop for you. Geneva caught it for you.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't even know where I got cut off, but I was just saying Kylan was such a good place, and then now he's just slacking on relationships. And I think how the house is going, the people with the least connections and the least people fighting for them are the people who are going on the block. And I would not be surprised if Kylan is in that boat soon. If people are like, oh yeah, I don't care if Kylan goes up, then he's going up.
All right.
That's why I would even move him to C. But I think that's crazy.
I'm going to wait one more day. My thing has always been, if I'm going to do an extreme change, it has to be really big, like Azah asking to go on the block bad to take a huge hit, or a big bad hit like Sarah Beth is taking. Because I do want to move her down very, very low. Actually, I might.
Can
move
I say
Sarah
one
Beth.
thing?
Go ahead.
I appreciate a little bit of growth from Azah. I noticed that in a conversation, DX asked her, about going on, and she was like, yeah, no, it's okay that I'm not going on as
I think Azah, now that time has passed, honestly just wanted to get nommed because Whitney wasn't getting nominated, and I think she was being petty queen, but. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with Brittany now. I think it was just strictly oh, you're not putting Winnie up, put me up. That's why I'm learning about Azah.
Oh yeah.
But I think Sarah Beth here, I'm really kind of want to move her to either low C or honestly D. Sarah Beth's game is horrible right now. She used all her social capital and just she just chose to be defensive, and I guess she tried to take a Tiffany stance and try to control someone else's HOH, and she used all the social capital she had on that, when in reality she should have been laying back developing her her relationships with people, and then like wait until like the right time to strike. But like she went super hard and never like went down from that. She stayed at a 10 all last week, and it got back to people. Everyone knows that she's over here pushing people. So I want to move Sarah to a D. I'm not going to lie. Sarah, do you agree with that or no?
I agree that Sarah Beth's game is what is this ranking? What is this ranking truly about? It's quality of a game player, or where they are in the house.
It's how they're doing right now and what's their winner chances.
Okay, then I would maybe be on board, because I just think everyone on like Twitter and stuff is just like completely thrown her away. But I'm trying to think about this from Sarah Beth's perspective. When she was gunning hard for Hannah, think about who was in that room. It was the people she felt closest with, like Kyland. I think she's also close with Claire. It was people from her own team. I think people that she felt comfortable speaking her truth. And it's a fact that Hannah leaving was way better for Sarah Beth than Whitney leaving. You know what I mean? So why would she not put herself on the line and feel comfortable and like go for it a little bit? She just doesn't know about the cookout. And why would she? Because they really don't meet up that often. It's pretty hard to clock those things if they're not even meeting up. I don't know.
Also, during one of the meetings with their team, though, she was like, I don't understand why everyone's like going hard to like protect Hannah.
That's a mistake. That's the quote I wanted to reference.
Yeah.
Saying that also,
that's true.
That doesn't look, it's like, well, but then she makes a point. Yeah, it's good for our game, so we're going to keep Hannah because that makes sense for us. And maybe it's not good for you, but collectively it's probably better for most of us. But that's the thing where I think Tiffany really, she plants those seeds, and then when it comes time, she has that plan of execution and she pulls that off. The thing is, if Sarah Beth really wanted to get Hannah out, she needed to be planting seeds. And in addition, she needs to give more sufficient reasoning for people to believe what she's saying. Because I think especially the viewers, we know Hannah's very smart. We know she's, lying about certain things, to make herself not considered to be a huge threat, saying Enzo's her favorite player, things like that. But like, this is where it's like, she wasn't really giving, too much justification to back it up. And just in general, I think it's just very important that like, when you're within this sort of situation, you do need to watch and see what is going on before you speak up. Like I get bringing up a suggestion, but it's like, I feel like at this point, it's like you need to kind of see what the situation is. And if it seems like that is a possibility, then offer it up as a suggestion. But I feel like also just bringing that up in general, saying like, oh, well, she's not good for my game, but seems to be like aligned with all of you, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, well, that, I don't know, just you saying that out loud, I think is just kind of,
there's
kind of
even
a situation where it's like,
there's a way you could finesse it. There's a bit of finesse involved. Like, in going into that week, Sarah was known as a sweet girl, nice girl, everyone like that. Leaving that, people were like, I'm scared of Sarah. Like, it's like this is the person yelling at production or anything. Like, she really got rid of her nice girl persona like that. And like, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, she's good. Like, I think she literally let it slip to, it was either her or Kyland, but they let it slip to how close they are with each other to Tiffany. And just like, you got to be careful about that. Like, if I'm Sarah, I actually feel no need to tell Kyland that I'm in the Jackpot Alliance whatsoever. But she did. So it's just, I personally, I want to move her down to D. I could also put her to C. Maybe that's a little extreme. Sarah, what do you think?
Let's put her at C for now. We could move her down.
All right, that's fair.
Who do you think, like in your opinion, will go this week, Sarah or Brittany, at the end of the week? Now I'm just like looking at,
I think Christian's going.
Let's say Christian wins. Christian doesn't use it because he doesn't want Alyssa to go up. I'm thinking that scenario.
Sarah's definitely going.
I think Sarah Beth is going to go.
I think Brittany has too much capital to leave right now. She has a deal with Christian. She has a deal with Azah.
The Jokers are going to keep her, and the Queens are going to definitely keep her.
She has deals with people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So let's go to this B tier. The lower we get, the less there's going to be able to talk about. But I'm not going to lie. We said this last week. I'm kind of feeling Derek X should be moved to A. I'm not going to lie. I think he's put in the work. I think he's honestly, between him and Hannah, I've noticed during this conversation with Tiffany yesterday, he is a lot more aware of the house structure, minus the cookout, obviously, but he's a lot more aware of what the house structure than Hannah is. And like I said, him and Claire are on to the cookout. He can win comps. He has a good social game. Everyone likes him. Tiffany wants to bring him to 6 for some crazy reason. I still don't know why. That if she keeps that up, she's getting knocked down soon. But I really think Derek X should be moved to an A. Geneva, do you agree with that?
I mean, I think even today he's showing, how he is really, trying to set himself up in the game, and I'm actually really excited for how he is handling this HOH. And I think what's very interesting too is like, of course, he's telling different stories to different people, trying to essentially, convince the Kings. It's like, well, I had to put one of you guys up, so Hannah doesn't know about, like the royal flush, things like that, where, and then they're like, okay, well, now we're gonna, act mad or whatever. And then Brittany's like, I'm gonna act mad. And the fact that he has all these people acting, and doing these certain things to convince others that someone's a target or another person is a target, when really there's this whole other plan going on. And of course, people are literally scared and paranoid, like Christian's scared and paranoid and other things. Like, it's just great TV. And 2, it's just, I mean, I think it's impressive to see that that's happening, where it's like, okay, like, yeah, I got put on the block, but, I'm willing to help you in this game so that whatever your plan is will work out. So I think that he's doing a really good job there.
All right. Sarah, do you agree with that?
I'm on the fence. I still think he should be at least in B, but I just can't tell always if Derek X is just being used and he's just doing the cookout's dirty work and he's not really being willing to like break away from that, or if he really is doing what's best for his own personal game.
I think he's Christian aware.
Best for him? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. They threw his name out.
Yeah, don't you remember? His name out, but like if he's being such a comp beast and winning everything, the only person really ahead of him in that aspect is Christian. And do you let that person go so that you're guaranteed to win?
Let's also not forget that they were thinking about putting Hannah and Derek both up so they can split them up.
But they didn't.
But next time, I'm guarantee you they're not going to miss that shot a second time. Guarantee you.
I think, Sarah, I think that I agree in the sense that like sending Christian home in some ways is bad because he doesn't have that shield. Mm-hmm. And so Derek will be like a huge apparent glaring physical, comp beast threat. Yes, it's very interesting though, because I noticed that on the feeds, some of them were talking about, oh my God, like they were talking, instead of comp ones, they were talking about how many comps people played in. And I was like, okay, I don't know if that's necessarily that relevant, Christian, but I think it's more relevant how many comps certain people are winning. But anyway, the thing is,
he's probably saying I'm only winning so much because I'm playing in them all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess, it's like, you're involved and you're playing a lot, but I just think that like the amount you're winning, I think kind of has more of an impact on your threat level, at least.
I will say Christian going on the back door is not anyone else's, like this is no one else's plan but his. Tiffany wants Sarah Beth to go, but he specifically told Tiffany, I don't know, if I get HOH, I feel like I can't miss that shot. And Tiffany said, I personally don't want Christian to go, but if that's what you want to do, you go do it. This is all Derek's plan. This isn't anyone else telling him take out Christian, because Tiffany rather Christian stay here. She wants Christian in the game. She wants Alyssa gone. But Derek is doing his own strategy. Like I'm telling you, this isn't anyone working Derek. This is his own strategy.
Well, that's why I think that's also why he was being pretty quiet about it too. Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's kind of a tough thing because I think he knows that like taking him out could be bad, but also it's like Christian will probably take a shot at him like the next time he would become HOH. So he's just so he's kind of like at this point where it's like this is something that I need to do. And I mean, yeah, that's the thing. The whole a lot of people in that group were going for Hannah and, find Hannah to be disposable for, in terms of their game. So I think if he is, he decided to win this HOH also partially to keep her safe. Those are those things that he's probably also thinking about too. It's I think it's difficult because it's like, this could be a bad move, but also it's a good move.
And I will also say, I mean, eliminate him from the equation. These two are still here. And Kylan and Tiffany are like not on the best of terms right now. So I'm sure, like I'm gonna be straight up with you. I think Derek is here and won't not be targeted until at least final 7 or final 6. Straight up. Like I don't think he's going anywhere unless like Brittany went. I don't think he's going anywhere. Like I really do believe that. I don't think they have the number.
You know what Sarah Yell thinks he should have done?
What?
I think the target should have been Derek F. I think that is the biggest threat to Derek X's game is Derek F. And I think he should have aligned better with Christian and Alyssa and been like, we're kind of two showmanses. I think we have to stick together. They could comp beast it out. And I think Derek F would have been the best target.
You put Derek F next to who?
I don't know. You could have talked to Azah and been like, Azah, Brittany's going to go up. Are you okay going up in her place? You put up Azah and Derek F.
You think Azah would be fine to sit next to Derek F?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, she just said that I'm not going on the block for anybody else.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Or Brittany and Derek F.
And you think that he survives next week after putting 2 Cookup members up?
Yes.
Let's say Kylan wins, or let's say Kylan or Tiffany win veto. Veto's Azah, then who's going on the block?
Brittany.
And then who leaves?
Brittany goes home. Brittany.
But one thing to say,
both of the people stay, and then he gets targeted. Like, make that make sense.
I'm so scared of Derek F.
Look.
Well, this is one thing though. Derek acts like in some ways he's like, oh, like I would be like, scared of Derek F, but he's also not scared of him because of his ability to win comps at this point in the game. So.
Well, look.
You can say I'm wrong, but I think
Josh Abbott agrees with you, Sarah.
Oh, thank God we have good.
But anyway, look.
He could win out. I don't know.
I'm going to the top of B for you. There you go. We're snubbing him from A for the second week. No. We're snubbing him from A for the second week. But if he's good next week, I'm not missing my shot again. I'm not playing with you. Anyway, we need to move forward because we've been on the last few people. Claire. I'm not gonna lie. I might drop Claire down. And this is why. I think Claire is in a good spot, but I don't think Claire is on a single person on this list priority list. Like, I don't think anyone views her as like, we need to keep Claire here, and I think that's a very bad place to be in. I think that she's very situational, but where it comes to like, oh, like I'm not going to stick my neck out for Claire. Like, I think everyone but like Derek Frazier has that. I mean, everyone but Derek Frazier and Claire have that. Like, I don't think anyone cares about Claire, and I think if she didn't have that immunity, she actually could be targeted right now. And I think she really needs to change some stuff up. So I think I want to move her down to C, but still high C. That it's a very
I disagree.
Like it's this small. How?
I disagree for the sole reason that I think one of the best qualities you can have in a Big Brother player is self-awareness, and she is aware that she is at the bottom and in danger, and I think that is powerful, and I have faith that she can maneuver it. And
she's aware, but when is she going to actually do something about it?
But nothing bad has happened that has forced her to go down to C. She's safe.
Like, even with that, she hasn't even like put the time into like make bonds with other people yet.
I think she has. Like, Derek X
other than Derek
her. Tiffany still really likes her.
Tiffany's plotting against her right now, though. Like, other than like Derek X,
I don't believe it.
I do. Like, I haven't. She's even Azah was trying to talk her out of putting Claire. Like, she was like, "We need to target Claire double eviction," and Azah was like, "Why would we do that when we could target Derek X?" And she was like, "No,
Azah wants Claire to stay."
But Tiffany wants Claire gone, and when Tiffany wants something to happen, people are going to listen to Tiffany. They're not going to listen to Azah. I'm telling you. I'm like, like I'm just so scared for her. Like I'm actually willing to keep her bottom B because I'm like I said my 2-week rule, but I'm very concerned for her. And if she doesn't switch something up soon, I think I can see her going soon. Like she really needs. I
want to know what Josh says. I want to know what Josh says.
No,
I would say keep her there for now because I think it's a little too early to say anything right now because Claire's in this interesting position where she's just safe to jury. Mm-hmm. So, but I think what is really important for her is that she needs to win a comp soon. Because that is what is going to give her agency. And we've noticed that, unfortunately, in some ways, for some people, like in order to be taken like seriously in the game or for people to be willing to make deals, like sometimes you have to win a comp. So I think this is the time where Claire has to step it up and win something because I think that'll be very important for her at this stage of the game. But she has some alliances, but that again, she's not also the top priority for people. So I think that she needs to become a higher priority for people.
Okay. This is our longest tier list stream, but this is just showing you how intricate this house is. We're almost done. So I'm not gonna lie, Hannah is top of B, and here's why. Oh I think Hannah listen. Oh, real quick. I think Claire should target DF and Naza. That's what she said. She actually wants to target DF. She said that. I think Hannah, argumentally, if not first, but has the second best chance of winning this season. And here's why. I was saying this. I was like, if they don't get out Hannah last week or this week, which she can't go out, she is in the most safe position out of everyone in the house. She is aligned with Tiffany, who is aligned with everyone else, and Tiffany will keep her safe. She's aligned with the Shield, Derek X, who will win competitions and always go out before her. She is protected by her two big brothers, Kylan and Xavier, who love and want to protect this girl. Azah, she's not going to take a black person up, but she wants to kick her out soon. And I know Derek F, neither one of them have power, whatever. And then Brittany, she's a pawn. Christian might be going this week or next week, and Alyssa really doesn't have any sway outside the Kings. I think she is aligned with all the strong players, and as long as that is going on, you cannot really take out Hannah because they need to go through those people if you want to get to Hannah. Honestly, Hannah has a final 2 deal with Tiffany. She has a final 2 deal with Derek X. I think Xavier would take her to the final 2 over a Tiffany. They have a final 3 deal. They have a 4-person deal with Claire, Tiffany. She has a lot of deals right now. Her social game is really good. I really like Hannah. I was like, if she survives this week, I'm like, she's a threat. I think she should be top of B. And if she keeps this up and she gets more tuned with the strategic side, I will move her up to an A. But I think Hannah deserves to be top of B.
I want to hear what Sarah thinks, actually.
What do you think, Sarah?
I almost wanted to argue with Isaiah earlier today in the old text messages, but I waited for the podcast because I get it. I think Hannah is so lovable, so endearing as a viewer. I'm so happy she's on the season.
I was not on the Hannah train until, remember, I was never a Hannah stan. I'm just saying, but continue.
I did not interrupt you, Isaiah.
You're right. I'm just saying. Go ahead, continue.
I did it earlier on the podcast, though, multiple times, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I am just unsure if this is Hannah laying low or if this is Hannah not knowing what's going on. Because I feel like she's being carried right now, which is an awesome thing. If you can get people to love you so much to carry you, like that is awesome. But the fact is, in my head, Tiffany's doing all the gameplay for her. Derek X is. And I get that like there's like a strength to that like those people are getting the targets over you. But also, I think that doesn't give you any credibility in a jury. And if she continues at this pace, I don't think there's any way that Hannah wins the game.
Here's my question. What's the point of Hannah playing hard right now when she's already huge behind target just for being the likable person she is?
I'm not saying playing hard. I'm saying talk game and be like in those conversations.
She talks game. She's in a lot of conversations right now. She's constantly in conversation with Tiffany, constantly now in conversation with Claire, and Derek X and Xavier and Kylan. These people talk game with her a lot. And these are all, I mind you, all the people that we have listed in A and B right now. These people specifically, she's not talking to any of these people, game with these people. Actually, I lied. She is talking game with the showmates because she has an alliance with the showmates now and Derek X. But she's not talking. She doesn't need to talk game with these people who are very expendable. She's protected by every person up here. And then now she's forcibly protected by these people down here because they had to cut deals with her. Like, there's no way that you can take her out until like late game. Like, she's perfect. She's already.
I would put her above Claire, but you cannot. How is she a better player than Kylan? Like, all of your arguments for Hannah, I feel like Kylan has and better. Kylan has a great relationship with.
I think she's in a better position than kind of.
Perfect. Hannah and Kylan on the block. Who's going home?
Hannah and Kylan on the block? Depends who's in the house still.
Let's say it was this week.
This week, I think Hannah goes. I think Kylan has a better relationship with Derek F, Azah, Sarah Beth. I don't know about Claire. DX, no. Xavier, maybe. Probably. You don't think so? You think
they have a final 3 deal?
We have a final 3 deal though. So
I
think it's a toss-up, honestly.
It's a toss-up, but honestly, I can also see Hannah surviving way longer than Kylan. Kylan's always going to get targeted before Hannah. Derek X is always going to get targeted before Hannah. Tiffany.
That's because Hannah can't win.
How do you know that? It's only been week 4.
I'm just. What are we talking about week 4? You're trying to talk about Claire going. Her game.
I know. I'm just saying. How can you say she can't win anything when none of the girls have won anything?
As of right now, I'm saying at this point in the game. That you said we're talking about this point in the game. Maybe next week she'll be S tier.
No, you're right. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I feel like you're really underestimating her. Like, I really think she's here. Like, I would say Hannah is unevictable until like Final 4, Final 5. Like seriously. Like, I don't think she's going like anywhere. Like, she's so protected. It's ridiculous.
Unevictable? Someone is unevictable because they see the other person beating them in a Final 2 at the end. You know?
You want to know? You want to know something crazy?
Everyone sees her as beatable.
You want to know something crazy? This is crazy. Vanessa said the same exact thing, and what happened? She got bumped by Steve Moses. Ian Terry, everyone said the same thing, and what happened? He lost. He beat Dan. I'm telling you, people are underestimating this girl. Like, I'll put her on over Claire. I'll calm her. I really think you're underestimating Hannah though.
Put her there.
Like, I don't think Hannah is going. You know what? Thank you, Josh. Like, she is not going anywhere. Like, perfectly. I don't see who Hannah could realistically sit on the next block next to me. Like, she is like seriously so safe. It's ridiculous. Like, if you didn't get her out last week, which they should have, or this week, which they can't, she is really like, she is here for a very long time. And all she has to do is build her bonds up with people. Like, she doesn't have to do anything.
I feel like the only instance where she could go home is if she was on the block next to someone else from the cookout, and then people in the cookout had that mentality that she's not fully in the cookout. That would, I think, be the only instance. Because, you know, like, if they have the mentality that Azah has been having, the 5+1, then that's the instance where I could see her going home. But right now, it's kind of difficult depending on.
Here's the crazy thing. Hannah, aligned with Tiffany, aligned with Xavier, aligned with Derek, aligned with Kylan, aligned with Claire, aligned with Azah, aligned with Christian, aligned with Alyssa, aligned with Derek F. There's only 2 people she's not aligned with. They have 0 power. Like, she literally can't go anywhere. Like, she's aligned with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they're I don't know.
And that's what I think frustrates me about Derek X and Christian is because I don't think they see. I think they see the people that beat them in the competitions as like their biggest threats to their game. But the fact of the matter is the biggest threats to their game are the people that will never go home. If you're on the seat, because if Derek X is on the seat next to Hannah, he goes. You know, that's why I think if you're like the strong competitive people, like the Christians, the Derek X's, I think you need to get out the floaters as fast as you can. Call in Rachel Riley. She'll agree.
And then, so that's there you go for her. And lastly, I'm not gonna lie. I will leave the rest of these people exactly where they are. Like they haven't really changed much, in my opinion. I mean, you guys can say if you feel differently, but like I don't really know if any of these
Brittany
people
above Alyssa.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like Alyssa hasn't done anything.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I feel like Brittany's made some efforts. Brittany's made some efforts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, okay, Derek Frazier, I think he should be moved up from F. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what has he done differently that he didn't do the last 4 weeks?
I think he's having more game conversations that are actually gonna. With he's had opinions with Derek with the Cookout in general for how the rest of the end game should go. I think he's been included in more game conversations. I guess he was an F before because he had none. I think he should be moved up to D for having some.
D for Derek?
Why not? Yeah. Sure. DF. Okay. This is by like the smallest. You can't even see the difference because it's that small. Like sure. Okay.
Yeah. I also want the people to notice that Isaiah basically did everything I wanted today, and it makes me happy.
Get away with it today. But I'm telling y'all, man, this is the longest tier list we've done because this is such a crazy house right now. But I'm enjoying it. But Tiffany X, top of the house. Derek F still at the bottom. So, do we have anything to talk about, guys? I think we covered everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want the house to explode, though. If it doesn't, I think I will be disappointed. No? Okay.
I just don't know what I'm so spoiled because I love this cast. Everyone in this house left. I'm just addicted to, and I don't know who I want to be the one to pull the trigger. So I don't know. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching, hanging out with us for this very long stream. This was a fun time. Anyone who's watching this now, in the future, or anytime possible, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow all of our social medias, the Twitch channel specifically. I know Jen likes to push that Twitch channel. Please, the Twitch channel, Silent Podcast, the YouTube channel, Silent Podcast, the Twitter page, Silent_Podcast. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate everything that you guys do, so please support it. Geneva, thank you for coming. We appreciate you as always because I'm sure we're going to be podcasting more. Geneva, I'll give you the big screen. Where can people find you?
People can find me at Peace Love Jen on Twitter. That's where I tweet about all reality TV like Big Brother, Bachelorette, F-Boy Island, Love Island, Hell's Kitchen. Just Real Housewives of Potomac. I don't know. Just whatever's on, basically. I'm tweeting about it. Yeah, I should be doing some more content on Silent Podcast soon. If you want to check out my RHAP coverage. And actually, Isaiah also podcasted the same day on RHAP. He did the live feed updates with Taryn, and then I did the Wednesday recap with Rob, Taryn, and Jacob Jones, which was a crazy episode. We talked a lot about middle school crushes. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. Yeah, happy to be here. And thanks, Sarah and Isaiah, for having me.
And also check her on the Challenge podcast soon. Anyway.
Well, I said more to come. It was a teaser, but I guess you're spoiling it.
Oh, we censor, cut it out. Oh, anyway. Sarah, where can people find you? I know you usually do the same short thing.
My Twitter is right here. I sometimes tweet about Big Brother. Sometimes today I tweeted about Family Guy Friday on Freeform. You guys should check it out. It's every week. That's all I got.
All right. Like usual, you can follow me at 8Ball Bangers, where you can just find me tweeting about a bunch of Big Brother stuff and anime and all nerd stuff. Like Geneva said, I was on the Big Brother podcast. I was with Matt and Mari on their wrestling podcast. I'm gonna get them over here eventually, by the way. I love Mari and Matt, so they'll be over here soon. But yeah, all that fun stuff. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you guys on Monday. Yes, Monday. All right, have a good one. Bye bye.